Welcome to Farm Charm Chic. I'm Emily. In today's episode, I am back with some brand new Christmas decor DIYs and crafts. They are rustic, they are vintage. You are going to love them. Plus, it's a collaboration with some very sweet YouTube friends of mine. I'll explain more about that as we get into the video. If you like crafting, DIYs, dupes, hacks, thrift flips, or just creating in general, I would love if you would consider subscribing. When you see your favorite project in today's video, remember to hit that thumbs up. But let's go make some DIYs. I love to make a good tag DIY, and this is perfect for Christmas. Now, any tag shape will do. I just happen to have this one I got on clearance. And then I have these little frames that came from the scrapbook section at Hobby Lobby. Any little type of frame will work, even the ones that you get at Dollar Tree. Now I'm just going to take off all of the stickers on here, and as I'm removing this sticker from the front, I happen to scratch into like that printed on design, and I realized that it's taking that first layer of ink off so nice with my heat gun. So try this if you're ever in a bind. Instead of sanding and it gets kind of gummy from that ink. This really helps take off that layer, and I love the rustic look this ends up giving. So this was kind of a happy accident, but it was really nice. I mean, just look at the thick layer of ink that I'm getting off of there. Like, this really was actually pretty easy. I'm struggling because I'm trying to hold it with my hand that's also holding the heat gun, but it worked out really well. I still did have to sand off that next layer, but it got a lot of that ink off. So now you can see how nice and clean that is. I'm just going to wipe it down, get any excess sand off, like residue off or anything there. And then I'm going to stain this. You can still see the outline of that circle. I am not too concerned about that because we're going to cover that up. But some other options would be painting your tag. You could place some scrapbook on your tag. You just want to have some kind of nice background. I like the rustic wood look of this, and I loved how that tag already had that little teeny circle up at the top to kind of make it look a little bit more vintage. I just loved that look. So now I'm taking this picture. I got this pack of cards. This is from like Temu or AliExpress or something. I ordered a banner off of there, and I didn't really love any of the cards that came except for only a couple. And so this little picture of Santa Claus's face was perfect. But you could easily print something off. You look for designs that you have on anything. I even noticed like the soap container that I bought at Costco the other day that was Christmas had some really cute pictures of Santa on it, and so I actually kept it to do DIYs. So use your imagination and come up with something. A wonderful idea would also be to do this with vintage photos of your loved ones, maybe loved ones that aren't here with us anymore, or you want to make a fun gift for mom or grandma or somebody. This would actually be a great idea to do with an actual photo. So I'm just using Santa here, and as I glued on this frame to this little picture of Santa, I realized that there was a little bit of it showing from behind the frame. It's easy to fix. Just go in and snip that away. If you guys have ever seen my layered signs that I do, this is kind of a smaller take on that. So we're going to stack our pieces here. So I'm going to cut out some little pine greenery. I have some eucalyptus. I end up using even a little bit of boxwood later on. After I get it all together, I decided it needed a little something more. But just a couple different textures to kind of bring that Christmas feel into this. Now I'm making this like an ornament that you'd be able to hang from a tree, but it also, this tag is thick enough so it can stand. I've also made these before, not using a tag shape, but just like those, there's some wooden blocks that you can get at Dollar Tree, and just using those, doing the same thing, and just having them sit as a shelf sitter. So keep that in mind as well. I'm just trying to inspire you. Hopefully this does. So I'm gluing a couple of these eucalyptus leaves together, and I'm just kind of putting them like off kilter here because I want them to kind of go kitty corner from each other off of our tag. And so I'm just gluing these down as the base here. These take up a little bit of room, which is nice. They have that nice silvery green color, which I really do like. I like the vintage feel of that with all of that wood color and everything. And I still feel like my pine and the red berries pops against this. So now I'm just gluing those little sprigs of the pine down here, and then I am just going to put a lot of glue to make sure that they are nice and secure. You're going to cover that center up with our frame so you're not going to see that glue. So you could even use like a staple gun if you wanted to. So now I'm just putting a decent amount of glue on the back of our frame here. If you need to use like a block to rise this up, you can do that. I felt like it popped mine out too far, so I did not love that. So I just went ahead and glued it right on. Now I have these little clickable stamps. Thank you to my sweet friend Linda who has turned me on to these. I love them. I thought it would be so cute to just put ho 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 on here. You could do all sorts of different messages for Christmas, or if you had a loved one's picture on there, you could do their name or something that reminded you of them. I just think there are so many different possibilities on here that you can do. Now, I love a little bit of glitter at Christmas time, only in certain ways though. I've learned that sometimes I'll remove glitter from a project only to add it somewhere else. So I felt that these leaves could add just a little bit of sparkle to them, and it would really kind of jazz this up a little bit. So this is just some Mod Podge, and I'm just painting it lightly onto those eucalyptus leaves. And then I have this sugary iridescent glitter, and I'm just going to kind of place that on here just to give a little bit of shine to this and another little texture. One thing I wanted to do at the beginning of the project but forgot until I got looking at it is I'm adding some antiquing wax to this little frame. The gold color is actually a really nice color of gold, but I wanted it to look a little bit more vintage since that's the vibe I'm going for here. So I'm just painting this down into all those little nooks and crannies of that frame to give it that real aged look. Something that's totally optional, but I do like the way that it looks. Now this is that thicker rope twine that you can get at Walmart. I soaked it in a little bit of water for just a second. I mean, I just put it in there enough to saturate it and then pulled it out, started to dry it off. That's going to take any of that coil or the kinks that are in there. It's going to remove all of that. So you have a nice straight piece of twine. Now I bent that in half and I'm feeding it from front to back on my tag. This is how you get that nice loop on the front. So you can see I have that loop, and I will just pull those tails through, and then you're just going to pull this taut. And you have that nice little finished look. And then at the top, you're just going to twist that around and pull those two tails through. That gives you your nice little knot, so that becomes an ornament or whatever you would like to hang this from. And you have that cute little tie on the front there. And this also helps it if you're hanging it on a tree to face forward rather than turn to the side. Whenever I cut my tails, I always kind of mess with them a little bit so they don't look so freshly cut. They look like they've been like that for years. This is when I decided it needed a little something extra, so I'm just gluing a couple pieces of boxwood. This is just the boxwood pick that you can get at Walmart, and I love this stuff. I use it all year long, but I do like it at Christmas time too. It's got a nice color of green, and it is a great texture to add into all of your different projects. Here is this completed project here. I think this is so cute. And again, you can personalize this as much as you would like. I love the little Santa with the ho ho ho. I think that this is so cute. Even just standing like this, I feel like the piece that I chose for the tag still has some rustic features on there. You can see a little bit of that paint on there still. Kind of has that nice rustic, like this has been around for ages feel to it. I really am pleased with this. What do you guys think of this one? As I mentioned earlier, today's video is part of a collaboration, and I am getting together with some very sweet YouTube friends. This is the Dear Santa collaboration, and I am joined by Wendy from White Sparrow Living, Linda from Linda's DIY by Design, and Patty from Patty J. Good. I love getting together with these ladies and bringing you guys a collaboration and a playlist, which will be linked in my description box as well as pinned in my comments, so it's easy for you to find. When you click on that playlist link, it's going to take you right over and start playing through all of our videos. We have so much fun Christmas inspiration for you. All of these ladies truly are some of the best DIYers out there on YouTube. Their Christmas decor is top notch. So grab your cup of cocoa, get your blanket, cuddle in, watch all of these videos, and get all of those good Christmas feels and Christmas vibes to help you get your decorating and your crafting started. Let's get right back into the DIYs. This ends up being one of the best Christmas projects. I just love this. I'm taking one of these wooden stockings. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. I have seen stocking shapes at Dollar Tree. You could cut your own out, but this is going to be such a good project. You guys are going to love this one. So I'm taking some drop cloth that I have. You guys, if you buy one sheet of drop cloth, at your like local hardware store or even on Amazon, Walmart, it's going to last you for so many projects. I kid you not. I've had this now for a year and I have not even made a dent in this drop cloth, but I've used it for so many projects. So I'm just cutting this as close as I can to the shape just to make it easy to work with. And then I'm just going to kind of trace out this stocking shape on this drop cloth. To cut this out, I'm going to use my pinking shears. I'm going to be applying this to our wood stocking, so I want there to be a nice kind of frayed edge, but not so frayed that it's going to unravel. So the pinking shears are a good option for that. And I am cutting inside of my trace line because when I put this on my stocking, I would like the edge of the wood to show around. I want to see all of those textures on here. So sometimes that means like you'll lay your stocking, that you like your drop cloth down on your stocking and see if it fits. And if you're like, oh, it's overhanging here, or I want more wood to show, it kind of is a back and forth of trimming a little bit there. You can't put more back on this piece of drop cloth, so you're kind of cut off in little sections. So you can clearly see here how I have about a 1/2 inch or so around the edge of the stocking. That way that wood will show through. Now I don't need the top of my drop cloth on there because I have something else planned for the top of the stocking. So to make things easier to work with, I did trim that off. Now I'm going to paint this drop cloth. I'm using just some red paint here, and I wanted it to be a little bit darker and richer, more vintage, almost like maroony, I guess. And so I'm adding a little bit of antiquing wax to it to kind of darken it up a bit. And then I'm just going to give this a very rustic paint job. You don't need full coverage here, but you still want to have enough coverage that it doesn't look like spotty. Sometimes you'll have to pounce like I'm doing here to make sure you get all in that drop cloth. That drop cloth does soak up quite a bit of paint, but you just want to make sure that you're getting, like I said, enough coverage that it doesn't look spotty, but kind of rustic. So on the wood here, I'm putting some antiquing wax down. You could stain this any color or even paint this a different color to contrast with whatever your drop cloth color is. Or if you decide to leave your drop cloth color like the neutral, you could paint the stocking a red or a green, would be really cute. I'm just using a baby wipe to wipe this in all over. This wood does soak that up pretty quickly. I flipped it over and I did the backside, so we're going to make sure that this looks nice from the backside as well. Now, once that antiquing wax has dried, I'm going in with some Mod Podge, and we're going to give this a nice coat of Mod Podge, kind of a thin coat. We want this to dry relatively quickly. We just want to make sure we have good coverage. I have a little bit of excess on the edges, so I am just going to wipe up the edge with a baby wipe here. That's just going to clean up the edge there. And since we're not taking the fabric all the way to the edge, we don't need to worry about if we take away any of that Mod Podge. Now to soften this up and kind of make this look even more rustic, I take some sandpaper and go over my canvas that I have, or my drop cloth that I had painted. It kind of scratches that top layer of paint. It kind of makes it a little more pliable to work with, and I just love the finish that it gives. Now I'm placing this down exactly where I want it on my stocking, and then I'm going to place a piece of parchment paper over the top of it. And then I will use my mini heat press. Now I love using my mini heat press rather than my actual iron for these projects because I don't want to have any Mod Podge or paint or something get on my iron and then ruin my clothes. So I did invest, I want to say this was around $20 that I invested in this little mini heat press. I use it all the time, you guys. I use it to like straighten out ribbon when I'm doing, all the time for different projects. But what this has done is it's gone and heated up the Mod Podge layer and it's bonded that fabric to the wood. And now I'm just going to go in and rustic this up a little bit more by sanding the edge just to kind of give this even more of a rustic touch. I do like this finish. So now for the top of the stocking, I thought it would be so cute to add like a little fur trim. I have this piece of like faux fur. I've had this for years in my stash. I used to do newborn photography and we would use these all the time to swaddle newborns in. So it's a piece left over from that. So I'm just going to cut this to size, and this is what's going to be that fixture on the top of the stocking. Kind of wanted to have like a Santa's boot type of vibe. Now I'm laying my stocking down on the backing of this faux fur, and I'm just tracing it out so I kind of know where to cut so I can have a nice clean line to go along the top of my stocking. So I'm just putting a little bead of glue. I did get a new glue gun that has that really precision tip on it, which has been really nice for some of these projects that you want to have a little more control over where and how much glue you're putting out and getting really detailed with it. I really do like it. I'll leave a link to it down in my description box if you guys want to look at it. But it's just a Surebond or a cordless one. It's just like my other one. It's just a littler one with that really nice detailed tip. I love it. So I wanted to line the top of that faux fur up really nice with the edge of the top of the stocking. And then on the sides, I'm going to pull them over. So you'll see here, I'll put a bead of hot glue here, and then I will just pull this taut over the edge. And that's how I'm going to secure this. Now, I will come back on the back side of this and put another panel of the faux fur. So never fear, it will look nice from the back, I promise. I'm just making sure that all edges of this faux fur are glued down so that we don't have any flaps that are kind of flying free there. Now this tag came from Dollar Tree. They always have ornaments similar to this, and my original intention was I was sanding the glitter off and I was going to sand this down because I was going to paint this and put something else on. But when I sanded that glitter off, I realized I really did like the rustic look. I just didn't like the glitter in the letters. I'm kind of funny. I like glitter in certain Christmas projects, but apparently only of the ways I decide. So I removed that glitter, but I'm leaving the tag. It made it for a simpler project. And I actually really liked the holly and jolly on there. I thought that was really cute. So I'm going to glue these together. I spaced them a little bit differently than Dollar Tree had, so it fit on my stocking a little bit better. And I'm just going to place some glue down here. Now you guys, you can see a bunch of my ribbon down here and maybe in the upper right hand corner. I bought myself a Bodabra. I'm the worst at making bows, and so I'm going to have to get a little bit better with using that, and then I'm going to do a tutorial for you to kind of show you how it works if you're interested. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see that. I did not want to bore you because this literally took me forever to make this one bow, which I'm happy with how it turned out, but I think I can kind of work on that a little bit better. But I had this candy cane in my stash. I don't even know where I think I might have picked it up at Vintage Market Days a couple seasons ago, but I don't know. It was just in my Christmas stuff, and I thought this candy cane was so cute. It kind of like it was peeking out of the stocking. And then I'm just putting my bow here with lots of layers on there. When I get a little bit better at these, you guys, I would love to show you how to use that if that's something you're interested in. But I'm just hot gluing that down, and then I do just have to sit there and hold that for a couple of minutes to make sure that it is nice and dried and secure. Now on the back, I'm going to make a tie so we can hang the stocking. So I kind of used that little hole that was there to kind of pool some of that hot glue into. And I just pushed my little knot kind of down into that to kind of get it a little bit recessed and a little bit set. And then I'm going to cover this up. So I put a bunch of glue to make sure that hanging twine was just nice and secure. So then I just get another panel of the faux fur and I cut it close to size of the back because I'm going to be able to kind of match up the edge of the faux fur that is already flipped over from the front. And it will, once you fluff it up, it blends so nicely together. The only thing that I end up needing to do is I trim a little bit off of the bottom to make sure it matches up with the front side. But that's how I cover the back, so it's nice and clean looking from front or back. You guys, I love how this turned out. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I want to make so many more. I wish my actual stockings were this cute. Maybe that I need to rethink what my actual stockings look like. But I love how this turned out. I think this is so cute. I love that it is mostly like flat on the back, that wood, so you can hang it up against something. It's going to sit flush against whatever you hang it on or against. I just think this is such a fun little take on a wreath on a door. I just think this turned out so cute, and I love that I made it simple with using those tags from Dollar Tree kind of the way that they were. I mean, that was kind of a fun little accident when I sanded that glitter off that those worked. Let me know what you think of this one because I absolutely love it. This is another sign that I have just sitting from a clearance bin of signs that I just keep whenever I find little things like this at home decor stores. This actually came from like a local farm store that we have. And I mean, it was like $1.70 something, I think it says there. I mean, a great deal. I can't pass that up on a sign. I don't necessarily need a sign that says fresh herbs. It is cute the way that it is, but I think I bought like 3 of these. So I think this might be my last one that I'm making over. I'm making it Christmas. So it is very thick wood. It's a nice sturdy sign, but you might have something at your house that you could do in a project like this. Now I'm just taking some sandpaper and I'm going to kind of sand this down as much as I can. The surface on this was a little bit different than, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it took a minute to kind of sand it. And then eventually I was like, I'm just going to paint this. I really wanted to kind of have that wood show through, but the letters were just not going anywhere. So I'm going to do, I think I do 3 coats of white paint on this to just cover this up. And then I'm going to do kind of like a little texture, not a texture, but a finish on it. Let's go with that. A finish on it that makes it look kind of like wood. Hopefully it'll translate really well with the project that I have in mind. So I'm taking some antiquing wax now that my sign is completely dry, and I'm just putting both sides of the bristles of my chip brush in that, and I'll test it out on the paper. Number one, that gets a lot of the pooled antiquing wax off of there before you go in on your wood, and it's going to kind of let you see if you need more pressure, less pressure, because once you kind of do this, you don't really want to go over where you've already done because it can mess up the lines and the streaks with that antiquing wax. So you can see on that top one, I did start in the middle, so it kind of makes it look like a natural knot of the wood there. So that's kind of what I'm going for. It's not rocket science. I mean, the first time you do it, it might be a little nerve-wracking, but it actually is pretty easy. I think you can handle this. Now, after that antiquing wax is completely dried, I'm just going in with a coat of Mod Podge here. We're going to put some decoupage paper that I got from the DIY struggle on this sign, and these little faux wood lines that we're putting on here are going to show through. It looks really cool when it's done. So this is this gigantic sheet of the decoupage paper. There's all these different designs that you can kind of tear out or cut out or use in all of your different projects. I love this. I'll leave a link to all of her stuff down in my description box so you can check her out. In fact, I had a video yesterday that came out that was all using her projects in another collaboration. It was really fun. So she does some amazing things. But with this paper here, I just got my brush, my paintbrush. It got some water on it, and I went down the edge of it to get it wet. And then I'm just using a pencil eraser to go on here to kind of give this a natural torn edge. Now you can rip this with your fingers, but I really just like the precision and the ease of using a pencil eraser to do this. And I do that on all of the edges of the paper. You just want to make sure that you wet that edge first before you go in with your eraser. Now this is just some parchment paper going over the top of this. We're going to use my mini heat press here. This is going to activate that Mod Podge layer that we put on and bond this decoupage paper to this. Now a lot of people have different techniques for their decoupage, and I love this one. Tammy from Happiness Created is the one that taught me to do this. She's the one that convinced me to finally try this method, and I do absolutely love this. But there's a lot of different ways to do Mod Podge, so just keep there, not Mod Podge, but decoupage with Mod Podge. I always get those two terms mixed up. Anyhow, I'm just going over to heat up all of the areas on this. You do just want to make sure you have that parchment paper in between to protect your iron from anything. And you get this nice clean finish. That decoupage paper is a little bit see-through. So as you can see the wood finish through this. I think this looks beautiful. This just looks like a scene that Santa is sitting in his home looking out into the North Pole forest, and he sees these beautiful little deer, this little vignette with those beautiful trees. That's at least what I'm going to imagine that Santa is looking at. I just think this is such a beautiful picture, and I love this. What a fun and beautiful shelf sitter to have in your decor, to give to somebody, to sell. It is a very easy project, but it looks very high end. I would love to know what you guys think of this one. All of today's projects were so fun to create. I love how each of them turned out. Some of them are a little more involved, some of them are pretty simple. You can kind of pick and choose which styles you like the most. Implement all of these. Hopefully these inspired you to start thinking about your Christmas decorating, or if anything, it just entertained you to sit back and watch some Christmas crafts be made. I absolutely am in love with each of these, and I'm excited to use them in my decor for this year. Remember that this is part of a collaboration playlist. Thank you again for Linda for getting us all together. Remember to check out Wendy, Linda, and Patty's video. They are going to be, the playlist will be linked in my description box as well as pinned in my comments. So go over and see all of the wonderful items that they have created for you. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you next time. Happy crafting! If you like the video that you just saw and you want to keep crafting together, here's another video that you might enjoy. And as always, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.